The Akkadians were one of the most influential civilizations of ancient Mesopotamia, considered the first empire in the history of humanity. This civilization, formed around the year 2300 BC, marked an era of transformation in the ancient world, laying the foundations for future empires. In this video, we will explore their history, culture, mythology, and architecture, diving into their legacy. If you are a history lover, subscribe now to not miss the most fascinating updates from around the world. The foundation of the Akkadian Empire. The Akkadians, originally from the northern region of Mesopotamia, were a Semitic people who had a profound impact on history. Sargon of Akkad, the main leader of this civilization, founded the city of Agade around 2340 BC. Although the exact location of Agade is unclear, it is speculated that it was near the confluence of the Tigris and Ilala rivers, in what is now Baghdad. The creation of Agade by Sargon was key to the establishment of the Akkadian Empire, which quickly expanded to include the Sumerian cities of the south, such as Uruk and Ur. Sargon not only founded Agade, but also undertook a series of military conquests that expanded his empire throughout Mesopotamia. He faced peoples such as the Elamites, the Gutians, and the Amorites, extending the empire's borders as far as Anatolia and the Persian Gulf. During his reign, he consolidated power over a vast region, being the first historical monarch to unify the entire Mesopotamian basin under a single rule. The successors of Sargon and the expansion of the empire. The Akkadian Empire reached its peak under the reign of Naram-Sin, the grandson of Sargon. Naram-Sin, who ruled from 2260 to 2230 BC, expanded the empire to its greatest extent, conquering new regions in Syria, Lebanon, and Anatolia. During his reign, Naram-Sin also faced the Gutians, a nomadic people who became a constant threat to the empire. Despite Naram-Sin's military victories, the resistance of the Gutians and internal rebellions gradually weakened the Akkadian Empire. After the death of Naram-Sin, the empire suffered a series of invasions, including an internal revolt by the Amorites and the Gutians. Although Sargon and his successors managed to maintain stability for a time, the cities of southern Mesopotamia eventually regained independence, marking the beginning of the end of the Akkadian Empire. The fall of the Akkadian Empire. Factors and consequences. Over time, the Akkadian Empire weakened due to factors such as invasions by the Gutians and a series of internal rebellions. The fall of the empire was also influenced by a severe drought that affected the region at the time. The Gutians, a people from the Zagros Mountains, were a key factor in the fall of the empire. Despite having inferior numbers and technology compared to the Akkadians, their persistent attacks and looting of Mesopotamian lands contributed to the destabilization of the empire. The last Akkadian king, Shar-Kali-Shari, faced numerous difficulties, including the invasion of the Elamites and internal rebellions. Despite his efforts to maintain control of the empire, after his death, Akkadian power faded, and the cities of southern Mesopotamia once again became independent. Akkadian society. Structure and organization. Under Akkadian rule, the king became the center of political and social organization. Sargon established a centralized government that oversaw all activities of the empire, from administration to the army. Military leaders and local administrators played a key role in implementing the king's policies. The Akkadians also introduced an economic system based on tributes and payments in kind, which allowed the state to accumulate great wealth. The centralized administration of resources enabled the Akkadians to sustain their army and bureaucracy, which was crucial to maintaining control over the vast conquered areas. The Akkadian language and cuneiform writing. One of the most important contributions of the Akkadians was the use and promotion of the Akkadian language. Akkadian, a Semitic language, replaced Sumerian as the main written language of Mesopotamia, although Sumerian continued to be used in religious and scientific texts. Cuneiform writing, which developed in the region of Elam, modern Syria, was adapted by the Akkadians for their language, facilitating the administration of such a vast empire. Akkadian became the dominant language in the region during the 2nd millennium BC, and its use spread throughout Mesopotamia. Although Sumerian was relegated mainly to the religious sphere, Akkadian was consolidated as the language of bureaucracy and daily life. Akkadian architecture and sculpture. Although many remains of the great Akkadian cities have not been preserved, it is known that the Akkadians built monumental palaces and temples. Akkadian architecture was large-scale, with fortified walls and large interior courtyards. The palaces and temples were designed to be impressive and reflect the monarch's power. Akkadian sculpture also stood out for its realism and expressiveness. Statues of Akkadian kings and gods represented ideals of masculinity and power. Akkadian artists emphasized perfect proportion and detail in facial features, which made the sculptures very realistic. In addition, the Akkadians developed the lost wax technique, which allowed them to create large metal statues at a relatively low cost. Akkadian mythology, influences and beliefs. Akkadian mythology was largely based on Sumerian beliefs, but it also developed its own legends and deities. In the Akkadian pantheon, gods were associated with natural phenomena such as the sky, the moon, the sun, and storms. Anu, the god of the sky, was considered the supreme god, while Enlil, the god of winds and storms, was of great importance. Sin, the moon god, and Utu, the sun god, also played central roles in Akkadian mythology. One of the most famous legends of Akkadian mythology is that of the flood, which shares similarities with the biblical story of Noah. According to this legend, the gods decided to destroy the world due to the wickedness of humanity, but one man, Utnapishtim, was chosen to survive the flood by building a great boat. This story reflects the Akkadian beliefs about divine power and the gods' intervention in human affairs. The legacy of the Akkadians. The Akkadian Empire left a profound mark on the history of Mesopotamia. It was the first empire to unify a vast region under a single government and left a legacy that would influence future civilizations. Despite its fall, the conquests of Sargon and his successors laid the foundations for the future development of Mesopotamia, and the legends of Sargon and his victories continue to be a source of inspiration for later monarchs. The Akkadian language and cuneiform writing became the pillars of administrative communication in the region, and their influence endured long after the fall of the empire. Akkadian architecture, sculpture, and mythology also left a lasting legacy, and many of the Akkadians' beliefs and practices were absorbed by later cultures in the region. If you are a history lover, subscribe now to not miss the most fascinating updates from around the world.